Hi, this is Robert Polenic, the owner of Brutal Iron Gym. In this video I'm going to show some tips and some information about the safety squat bar. Enjoy! Okay, so this is a safety squat bar. You can see it has kind of a neck pad, has shoulder pads and handles, and then it has a camber here, which is where the bar that sits across your upper back actually has a drop off where the weights would go. This camber is very important to understand the purpose of this bar. I will show a video of me unracking this bar, and what you'll see is when I'm standing with the bar on my back, the camber is actually angled forward. What happens is, you can see, like when I kind of let the bar go, it settles to where this is always going to be underneath the kind of center bar, the main bar. So it's always going to center itself. Well, if you're squatting with a lot of weight and it's angled in front, it has a force that is trying to get back to this position. That means your upper body is always going to be pushed to be rounded forward. Then also due to that pressure from the hip, you'll be angled forward. So your thoracic spine gets challenged, and then also your overall torso gets challenged in a forward push. It's almost like somebody's squatting. As you're squatting, someone's pushing you forward. So I'll go ahead and show myself unracking the bar. Okay, so you can see when I had it unracked that these cambers do want to kick forward. So that's important for understanding, again, that the thoracic spine is going to be challenged, and then also the hips are going to be challenged. Now what we'll do is we'll load some weight, and we'll talk about the racking position as you would get into position to squat the bar. Okay, so now we'll talk about how to get underneath the bar. So the head goes in between this pad, this goes across your neck, these go across your shoulders, and the handles are for your hands. The most important component of getting in position of this bar is to have the middle of your back squeezed together. So you want to imagine like your shoulder blades are coming together and down. So I'll unrack this bar, and you can see the positioning that I use for my upper back to feel nice and braced and secure. So you could see when I was getting in position that I was squeezing my shoulder blades together, and I was paying attention to my upper back being nice and straight and stable. I also did not use my hands on the handles for false leverage or for false support. The hands on the handles are just to kind of guide the wobble of the bar, if anything, but you should never lift on the handles because that's a false sense of security. It reduces the involvement of the upper back and relies on your arms, which is not going to help when you go back to a regular barbell squat because you won't have that ability to push anything with your arms. You need to focus on thoracic positioning by squeezing your shoulder blades together. The other thing is you don't want to pull on the handles to create bracing. So just like I would pull on a handle on a cable seated row to squeeze my back, I do not want to pull on these handles, pulling the handles apart. I don't want to pull them towards me to create back tightness because, again, the handle stimulation, the handle support won't be there when you go to a regular barbell. You need to develop the security and tightness of your shoulder blades without your hands involved. Whether that's pulling apart on the handles, pulling back on the handles, pushing on the handles, anything like that. So now what I'll do is I'll get a better angle. I'll show myself getting in position and squatting, and then we'll talk about some of the issues with that. Okay, so with the squatting, you can see again, I didn't use my hands, that way I could focus on just back support. And I used small plates that way you could see the angle that happens with the camber. And again, this is just giving us a visual of what is happening with the bar and our positioning under light weights. As I work up in weight, it'll definitely become more challenging. There'll be more importance for tightness, and you'll find that I'll probably keep my elbows back even more. Won't pull on the handles because we can't do that. That's a false sense of security. And as I get bigger plates on here, it'll be harder to see the camber. So maybe I'll actually just squat with 25s today. But that's what we're going to do, is we're going to go heavier and heavier, pay attention to thoracic positioning tightness, and the next thing we'll discuss is bar path. Okay, so we got another view here. Here's the bar, the end of the bar. What I'll do is I'll unrack it and I'll squat. What we want to see is that the bar, the end cap here, the center of the bar, stays over the middle of my foot. I do not want the weight to push me forward of my center of gravity. I would like the pressure in my heel and front of my foot to be equal. And we can also pay attention to, now that I'm using the 25s, the angle of that camber. Remember that this bar tries to fold your thoracic spine and it tries to push your overall torso forward. So you're going to work to fight that sensation, that stimulus, throughout the squat. So I'll go ahead and squat, and then we can watch that happening. Okay, so we just saw me do a set of 3. And again, what we're trying to fight against is the bar rotating our upper body forward and pushing our whole body forward. As I continue to increase weight, we'll continue to watch and see if either one of those are happening. And the point of this bar, the purpose of going through that stimulus, is to strengthen your thoracic spine and learn how to hold your positioning where the bar path is straight over the middle of the foot. How to fight against a natural forward push of a regular barbell squat. Okay, I'll add weight and we'll continue to see how I do. Okay, we've continued to move up in weight. You'll continue to see that I'm not using my hands yet to help hold my positioning. I like keeping my hands off the handles for as long as possible in the warm-ups, so I can learn what that feeling is in the thoracic spine to keep tightness between my shoulder blades without any false help of my hands. So I'm going to continue to try to do the warm-ups without the hands, and that way you know why. Is so that way I can pay better attention to mid-back tightness and not start to rely on the hands, even though I know I shouldn't. I'm not going to give my body that option to cheat. Another component of squatting with a safety squat bar that you'll see is when the bar is light, you'll notice that a person's posture, the angle of their torso, so let me switch hands, the angle of their torso will be more upright than what it would normally be in a regular squat. But as this bar gets heavier, they will start to kind of get pushed forward. They want to correct that by allowing their hips to go back, which loads their lower back and their thoracic spine more, which is the point of the challenge of this bar. But by letting their hips go back, it maintains involvement of the posterior chain and it prevents them from going forward, but going forward to their center of gravity. We don't want that. So what you'll see is when it's light, somebody will squat more upright. As it gets heavier, their body's going to need the lower back and back side of the body to help. So their body's going to want to get into a more forward tilt. The downside is if you don't let your hips go back, that forward tilt comes at the expense of just leaning forward, and the center of gravity of the bar path, will go forward over the toes, and this squat will feel horrible on your lower back. So as the bar gets heavier, we need to learn to push our hips back. So instead of leaning our shoulders forward, we push our hips back. And that's going to maintain the correct bar path rather than a forward position, just a hip rotation. So this weight is now heavy enough that it's going to start pushing me around. So I'm going to use my hands to help give extra kind of security, extra confidence. I'm still trying not to pull on the handles at all. And I often use a false grip where the handle will actually be here. So instead of me wrapping my hand around it, I'll just kind of put my knuckles around it. That gives me my stability and security with the heavy weight, but I don't cheat with pushing and pulling the handles around. And I don't cheat by pulling the handles apart. So this is probably going to be a more upright, more forward tilted squat. However, I still want the bar path to be over the middle of my foot, and I still want to make sure that my upper back stays nice and braced, and I don't let the bar round me over. Okay, good luck to me. Okay, so on that one, I did feel my upper back rounding. I did feel my lower back kind of hiding away from being in its best position due to the weight load of the bar. So right now we have a total of 315 pounds. The bar is 65 pounds plus the 25s, makes it 315. So for a set of three, there's always excuses and things as to why you wish it was heavy or whatever. But in general, this squat variation is weaker than a regular barbell squat. So it is a more challenging variation of squat. So if you notice that you can't lift as much weight as you normally would, that is totally okay and normal. It's because it has that extra challenge to the thoracic back, the spine around your shoulder blade, and the lower back. So that is, if that's a weak area for you, this bar is a great bar for building the rounding of the back, resistance, and then also for learning how to stay back over the center of gravity of your feet. So if you film yourself in a normal barbell squat from the side, and you notice that the bar, as you're coming down or as you're coming up, that the bar drifts forward over top of your toes rather than over the middle of your foot, this is a bar that will help you be aware of that and try to correct it. Also, if on a regular squat you come down, you hit the bottom, and your upper back rounds over, so your upper back kind of caves forward, this bar will help you address that as well. So it's a great bar to correct those types of issues. So you can go ahead and give that a try. Again, it is harder than a regular squat. So, good luck. I hope this was helpful. So that is the safety squat bar and a whole bunch of helpful information. If you have any questions about programming, or if you want any other type of tutorials like this, just shoot us an email at brutalirongym@gmail.com. Cool. Thank you for watching, and good luck.